It's good to get to a game day. I mean, I don't want to go backwards, but the last game we played was one of the toughest losses of my entire career. So it's nice to get past that one. I don't know if I'll ever get past it, but, these guys, there's so much that goes into it besides game day and running a program and recruiting and development and, the player that finally took the field for me today that I've been recruiting since he was in 7th grade, so it's pretty cool. You heard Kade talk about what, pitching here means to him. It's maybe not my first call, but within the first 3 calls that I made, when this was official, was to Kade Anderson. So just happy to, see them on the field competing. I thought their poise was good. We talked a lot about not trying to do too much on opening day and staying in their plan, and I thought they did a pretty good job of that.
Danny, you said he's a grinder, 5 RBI tonight. What did you see from him?
He's a really good player. I think he's got tools, like he can affect the game with all his tools, but for me the separator is how he plays. And I think that was on display today. Like he looked very comfortable in the box, very comfortable in his own skin, talking on defense, aggressive on the bases. Hopefully a sign of good things to come.
You mentioned Kade was one of your first calls when things were official. For one, what gave you confidence that he can be the Friday night guy?
Yeah,
what did you think of
it's a no-brainer decision, and that's with what I think is a really good pitching staff. I think, and it's to nobody's fault. All you see is what you've seen before, but you don't see from the last out in Chapel Hill to the first pitch today, and that's what I'm privy to. Probably could have pitched for Team USA this year. We decided it was in his best interest to get in the weight room. He's done a good job of that. He's more physical. The pitchability advancement that he's made with Coach Yeski, ability to mix. He's going to be a really difficult guy. He's not going to give anything away, and it's going to be really hard to square up. And the makeup, like I said, in my opinion, he's the leader of the pitching staff. And so what a great situation when you have a guy that's the right character guy, that's the leader of the pitching staff, that has the best pitchability. And you have to have the right makeup to pitch on Friday or to be the closer. He has that.
Just building on that, he was just telling us how much he takes pride in his demeanor on the mound.
Yeah.
How much of that goes into him, getting that role, because you kind of equated it to Luke Holman and how he learned how Luke Holman was so steady last year. He said that was one of the differences.
It's a good guy to follow. Give me Luke Holman and Kade Anderson all day, every day. They're hard to find. They're really hard to find. There's talent all over the United States, but talent with the pitchability, with the strikes, with the makeup, it's not easy to get. Just watch kind of how the year goes in the totality of college baseball. And we're in the best league in the country, and there's 5 and 6 ERAs everywhere with guys throwing 95 plus. So he's very unique in that regard. And I always love it when one of your best players, if she is, best pitchers, is the best person, team guy, character. That's who Kade is. And so it just gives you we know what we're going to get. And use Luke as an example, same kind of thing.
When you were recruiting Kade, was it kind of wild to see how polished he was, despite the fact that he also missed his entire senior year due to injury?
I actually have a different take on that. Had he not gotten hurt, I don't know that he'd be here. That's my take on that. I remember when he called me and told me it was May of his junior year. And then, I started mapping out the months and, okay, where does that put him? How does that impact the draft? Knew he was very committed to doing this. I think you guys heard, I don't want to quote him, but I think he said something when I was waiting for media the other day, he'd like to be here for 10 years or something like that. Well, he's welcome for that, for sure. But just, it's cool. I really value the Louisiana player, this means so much to, and he's that. But that's just part of it. It's the execution. The guy can execute. And could see this coming for a while, to be honest with you. This is a really easy decision.
Did look like that in high school? Or has he made significant jumps in 10 months?
Here's what I will tell you is again, this is kind of the behind-the-scenes thing. There's recruiting battles and things that when you win them, you know it makes a massive impact. And he came back for second unofficial visit or something like that, and we were having lunch at Walk-Ons, and he said something. I was like, wait a minute, is he trying to tell me he's coming here? And then he made it a little clearer, and I jumped across the table and gave him a big bear hug. And at that time, I knew that was going to be important. Maybe flew under the radar, when you have a Curiel, you have a Schmidt. This was a big deal, Last year when I went out and met with all of them about the draft, he was the first one that I went to in Houston. Son of a coach, mom's great, and, no different than the Andersons or the Pearsons. Like, we have really talented kids that come from really good families, and that's Kaysen. And we've seen it. And again, it's a pretty good offense that just got to face these guys 9 times in a row, and that's not an easy task. So it was fun to see a few of them go up against somebody else. And I'll be smiling walking out of here tonight. That's a big reason.
What was Kade's fastball averaging?
I didn't even look at the board, to be honest with you.
He's not one of your hardest throwers, right? What does that say about his command?
I just think the pitchability is at an elite level. I feel like last week he reached back and got one that I hadn't seen yet, meaning the last week of inter squads. I just think it's a little deceptive because he's just doing it with such easy arm action and good mechanics, and the ball comes out of the same slot no matter what pitch that he throws. I'll be honest, I could kind of care less, because he's for now he's going on Friday, and I feel really good about that.
What did you like about the lineup, both offensive and defensive?
I liked how we played defense. The one mistake, we had one catcher's interference. Those kind of things happen early in the season. He struck a lot of guys out. I like the talk, I try to equate this to hey, watch Duke play basketball on defense. Everybody's talking screen, this and that. Good teams talk a lot on defense. Or the Eagles the other night in the Super Bowl. It's they were standing everywhere that the receiver was going to be. And so, I like that element, but it should be that way. You have 3-year first baseman. You have a guy that has 1,000 college at-bats at second base. You have a guy that was a freshman All-American at short. You have a 4-year SEC starter at third base. So I would be disappointed if it wasn't like that. I don't think we really got to see today how we're going to make plays. Now, on the flip side of that is Chris Stanfield makes a diving play in the 5th inning, positioned well, good instincts, makes the play, and then that makes the pitching thing super easy for the rest of the day. So I thought it was a good day. Offensively, I just think they just did what they were supposed to do. Nothing more, nothing less. They did what they're supposed to do. And I like getting that many guys in the game. There's some real dudes that were not in that lineup today, and it'll be fun to see their growth here.
With a guy like Derek Carriel, obviously highly touted in high school, comes here, hits second in opening day. Thought he handled the pressure pretty well. What did you see out of him and his growth?
He's done great since he's been here. And when I say since he's been here, he decided he just wanted to go to college. Pulled his name out of the draft, showed up in the summer, and immediately put on 12 pounds. Jordan Piniella, the football strength guy, he had to fill in before we got Chris, did a really good job with Derek and a couple other guys. And so that phase was good. He's a baseball player. Is skilled, as skilled as you can get to school. He's got some things that he'll continue to develop as he gets to play against good teams here, but the makeup is elite. Might be one of the smartest players that we have. Has been, again, great family. Mom, dad, brother, sister are all elite people. He's had a great baseball background, played at a great high school. He's well positioned to be very successful here, and he'll be a very reliable player that's only going to continue to get better.
Can you speak to how impactful Michael Braswell's level of maturity and adaptability coming into the season, and how having him emerge as a leader this season?
Yeah, I really think it's something that probably flies under the radar of the importance of getting him back. the value of last season, I'd never want to be lost on these guys. And you had to be there, so to speak. And I say be there, not watch it. You had to be in here, and going through, expectations of coming off, arguably one of the best college baseball teams of all time, replacing 8 or 9 guys in a lineup. Your coach being a drill sergeant to make sure, you weren't going to be the first team in the last few years to not go to the postseason, get off to a good start, to have to play 4 of the Giants, lose a bunch of really close games that we just flat out weren't ready to win, and then overcome that, and then, in my opinion, be one of the 10 best teams in the country down the stretch. And it took everything that one of the best teams in the country had to knock us out, or we would have been back in Omaha. And so when you have a player that was a central figure that went through all of those things and grew, not to mention became a 1,000-time better player than he was at South Carolina, and then you get him back, it's a big deal. And so I appreciate you pointing Michael out.
You went right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left in the order today. Did that make you happy?
14 runs makes me happy.
You just talked a lot about versatility and
Yeah.
the options you have with your order this year. Does
Yeah.
that really shine through in the game?
I just think, for me, I would just say it this. When you have speed, you have power, you have solid hitting skills, you have plate discipline, you have positional versatility, you have the ability to match up, where this team has a chance. I think as the season unfolds, you'll get a chance to see some of that. Like I said, Ashton Larson's a starter, in my opinion. Ethan Fry is a starter, in my opinion. Tanner Reeves is a starter, in my opinion. All the catchers, all 3 of those guys are a starter, in my opinion. A couple of those freshmen that you guys probably didn't even know their names, they're going to be awesome, awesome. They're on a team that has a chance to be pretty good offensively. Like I said, I waited a little longer to dive into how the lineup should go, to kind of see the full body of work, because guys are better than they were at the end of the fall. And this is a starting point. All those guys I just mentioned probably will be in there at some point. But I liked today. It came together easier than it ever has. And I don't know if that means I don't know what that means, but it actually came together easier than it ever has.
To piggyback off of that, when you have that much talent, obviously that's a good problem to have. But how difficult does that make, the coaches meeting when it's time to put the lineup together?
You talk about when we meet as a staff, or
Correct.
Yeah. I kind of took it to them, and they said, yeah, honestly. And I'm not saying that for any other reason. It was actually, like I said, it came together easily. And there'll be different circumstances, and there'll be a different circumstance tomorrow. Left-handed pitcher, different type of pitcher, different release height, different strengths. But I like that there's a lot of interchangeable parts, and the players are all ready to go. Again, it's game 1. Nobody sat for 5 games, but I think we're going to develop every player. The communication's strong between staff, player, staff. So, like I said, I told them this yesterday. This is a good group of guys, and they just need to keep their head down and keep working. I'm sorry I'm late. We went over about 15 things that were mistakes in the game before I came in and talked to you guys today.
You think you're going to have a few games where you score a lot and don't have a home run?
Hope so. Sign of a good team. And the fence is still far in Omaha. It's still really far.
What
Talking
mistakes
about
did you
Chris,
find?
But I'm not going to get into that. Yeah, so.
Last one.
talking about Chris Stanfield and everything, the transfer from Auburn. He had a great game today. Are we going to see more of him out on the field?
Oh, yeah.
And everything this season?
Oh, yeah. I remember very vividly. He was a freshman at Auburn. We won 3-0 on Friday. Paul Skeens was pitching. This guy hit just 2 rockets off Paul Skeens, and I was literally like, no way this dude's a freshman. I got to play against this guy for 3 years. Did not make me happy. I think he killed us the rest of the weekend, too, if I remember right. Didn't have a good year last year, and sometimes that happens. It's a hard game. But he went in the portal, and it was like, I think we can do something here. And didn't even really look at what else we had on the roster. Is it too much, wrong fit? It was like, no, I think this is something that we need. And he's a great kid. I think I don't know if you guys have had a chance to talk to him at all, but he's an awesome kid. Like, he'll be one of the more fun guys to interview, and I think he's excited to be here, and we're certainly excited to have him. All right, thank you guys.